Rusell Wilson and the Denver Broncos are playing pretty good football, and it is a great thing to see. Now, yes, I know a few months ago I made a video saying that the Denver Broncos season is over and it's time for them to go ahead and rebuild. And I gave my ideas if Rusell Wilson should be benched and just a whole bunch of ideas I have for that Broncos organization. But you know what? They didn't trade Sutton. They didn't trade Jerry Jeudy. They didn't go ahead and bench Rusell Wilson. You know what they did? They kept everyone together, and now they're starting to win football games, and they're really rebounding their season, which is all around insane. And I'm personally really excited to break this down because me personally, I thought Sean Peyton was going to go ahead and fix Rusell Wilson, and of course at the beginning of the season it really wasn't looking like it, but now it's starting to look like that. Every game that passes, more and more things we're seeing from Russ that is good. Now before I get into it, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and comment how you feel about the Denver Broncos and do you think they have a chance at making the playoffs this year, and let's get into it. Starting off, let's talk about the changes that the Denver Broncos made because, you know, after starting 1-5, they made some changes to go ahead and start winning games, and now they're 500 and they honestly look pretty good. I mean, they made some great changes. Starting off, we need to have a conversation about the defense of the Denver Broncos because you got to remember, guys, this defense gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins all the way back in the beginning of the year. That game was all around just horrible for the Broncos, and now honestly they're an improved unit. If there was an award for comeback coach of the year, Vance Joseph would earn that immediately. I mean, I can't believe what he's done. The whole city of Denver wanted this man fired after giving up 70 points to the Dolphins. It's just like, this man had a job to do and he had to turn the defense around, and he has completely turned it around. They're playing way better now. Because honestly, at the beginning of the year, I saw some of the pieces they got on defense, Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons. I'm huge fans. I'm like, this defense really shouldn't be doing that bad, and he's honestly turned it around. I mean, look at this. If you look how many points the defense let up at the beginning of the year compared to now, there's a huge difference, and you can really see it. I mean, look at, they're giving up 30 points to the Commanders, 70 to the Dolphins, 28 to the Bears, and now look, they're all giving up points in the high teens or the low 20s. 17 to the Packers, 9 to the Chiefs, 22 to the Bills, and 20 to the Vikings. That is super improved, I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion. I feel like the reason why the Broncos were able to win many games at the beginning of the year was because of the defense. I feel like the offense really wasn't the problem, which we're gonna get into that a little bit later, but it was mostly the defense. Because you're not gonna be able to win football games if your offense has to continuously carry, and your defense isn't gonna be able to do anything whatsoever. Because honestly, you were able to run through that defense, you were able to throw on that defense, whatever you wanted to versus Denver. It was easy money. It was barbecue chicken alert. As you can see what the Dolphins did with Tyreek Hill and Raheem Mostert, they absolutely obliterated them. So I have to give credit to Vance Joseph. Like I said, he's done an amazing job at improving this unit. In my opinion, I feel like this is a huge reason why the Denver Broncos are starting to win football games now. Now it's time for me to have a talk about Mr. Rusell Wilson, because honestly, I went from Caleb Williams, Drake May talk very quickly to be like, oh, Rusell Wilson is actually playing pretty good football, I'm not gonna lie. Rusell Wilson currently has 2,600 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. He's playing way better than he did last year so far. And this is another reason why the Broncos are also looking better on offense than they did last year, because, you know, he's not turning over the ball, he's playing better ball, and, you know, I gotta give props to Rusell Wilson and Sean Peyton for this. Thank God that the Broncos did not do any of them trades, because honestly, they would have been cooked if they would have. Jeudy is still looking like a pretty good piece for this Denver offense, even though he doesn't get used that much, but Courtland Sutton, thank God they did not trade this man, because he's looking very important to this offense right now. He's looking like the wide receiver 1 in Denver. Him and Rusell Wilson truly have a special connection, and Courtland Sutton, this man has some amazing catching ability. I mean, some of these catches that he's made over the past few weeks has just been all around insane. I mean, just look at some of these catches by Sutton. Ridiculousness. I should also mention Rusell Wilson has that clutch gene in him. I mean, for the past 2 weeks, he's like back-to-back game-winning drives, one versus the Bills where Will Lutz would go ahead and kick a game-winning field goal, and last week where he threw a touchdown to Courtland Sutton with another insane catch to go ahead and beat the Vikings. So yeah, Rusell Wilson, he got that clutch gene in him. So let's have a conversation about this now. The Denver Broncos, they're playing good football, the defense is improved, Rusell Wilson is actually playing pretty good football. Can the Denver Broncos go ahead and make the playoffs this year? Now, me personally, I thought the Broncos were going to be an improved unit at the beginning of the year. I thought it was a possibility, but now it's really trying to have a conversation about it because they're sitting at 500 with their upcoming schedule. Let's break it down. Let's see if they can go ahead and make playoffs this year. Now, the Broncos, in my opinion, they have a very interesting schedule, but in my opinion, they can go ahead and win some of these games. Starting off this Sunday, they have a game versus Cleveland, which in my opinion, I think they can go ahead and win. Yes, I know Cleveland's defense has been elite this year, which I've seen it with my own eyes. They beat my own team, the Baltimore Ravens, pretty much, but man, this defensive unit in Cleveland has been amazing. But here's my problem when it comes to the Browns. Their offense, with DTR at quarterback, I feel like that offense isn't going to be sustainable, and I don't don't know if they're going to go ahead and be able to win games just because of the offense. And if that defense really does carry them to the playoffs, Myles Garrett, in my opinion, should be in consideration for MVP this year. But I do think the Denver Broncos can go ahead and win this game, especially how the Broncos defense has just played better. I feel like if Cleveland's offense isn't able to do anything, this is going to be the sole reason why the Broncos can go ahead and win this football game. And then they got a game versus the Houston Texans in Houston. I'm going to say they're going to take a loss here. CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans have been playing absolutely out of their mind. I'm going to go ahead and say they're going to lose. I think the Texans are really doing something special in Houston. I really think they're going to go ahead and try to push for the division this weekend by beating Jacksonville. And you know, I think that the Texans are just going to beat out the Broncos in this game. Now I'm going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers because they play the Chargers twice. Here's what's going to happen in my opinion. I feel like they're going to split the series 1-for-1. I think the Chargers are going to win a game, and I feel like the Broncos are going to win the game. They play them once on December 10th, another time on December 31st. No matter what game it is, I just feel like they're going to end up splitting. Maybe the Broncos will lose the first one because it's in LA, and they'll win the second one because it's in Denver. But I just feel like they're going to split here. Then they have a game versus the Detroit Lions, and here's where things get very interesting. The Broncos potentially might be able to go ahead and win this game. That defense for Detroit has not been looking good over the past few weeks. I mean, look, Jordan Love and Christian Watson just cooked that defense on Thanksgiving, so you know, anything is possible. And the way that Cortland Sutton and Rusell Wilson have been looking, I think this might be a winnable game for the Broncos. In my opinion, this is going to be a very good game, a very close one too, but I still think Detroit's going to win the game, but I definitely would not be surprised whatsoever if Denver went ahead and won this one. Then they have a game on Christmas Eve versus New England. I'm not worried about that game whatsoever. It's the New England Patriots. They look horrible. And then to close out the season, of course, before this game, they have to play the Chargers in Denver. And to close out the season, they go ahead and play the Raiders in Vegas. I think they're going to go ahead and win this game, especially if they need to win this game to make the playoffs. Raiders beat them early in the year, 17-16. I feel like if the Broncos really want to make the playoffs and they need to win this game, they're going to go ahead and do it. So the Broncos got 7 games right now to close out the season. I just broke down all the matchups, and here's my take on them. They got some winnable games in there, in my opinion. I think they're going to be able to take down teams like New England. I think they're going to be able to beat the Broncos, the Raiders, and I think they're going to split with the Chargers. Now, if the Broncos were somehow to win 5 out of their last 7, that would make them a 10-win team, and they would have the ultimate record of 10-7, which would be huge for Sean Peyton and the Broncos and Rusell Wilson, you know, rebounded from last season. That would be all around insane. And honestly, if they're 10-7, they might be able to make playoffs. Now, here's my take on it though. If the Broncos were to go 10-7, here's the one thing that's going to hurt them. The playoff scenario in the AFC in the wild card spot is so just out of control. It's crazy, it's wild, it's all everywhere right now. All the teams are so close to each other that if the Broncos truly did want to go make the playoffs, they might have to rely on some other things as well. They're in the 10th spot in the AFC, you know, behind teams like the Colts, the Bills, the Steelers, the Texans, and the Browns. So these next few games are going to be very, very important for the Denver Broncos. Now, in conclusion, the Rusell Wilson and Sean Peyton and the Denver Broncos are back to playing some great football in Denver, and I really like what I'm seeing from that unit. And you know what? I think Denver might have some potential to go ahead and make playoffs. They got some winnable games coming up. If they go ahead and win some games and maybe win some games that they're not favorited in, who knows what could happen. The AFC is such an insane place to be right now. Denver might have a shot to go ahead and make playoffs this year, and that would be huge for Sean Peyton and Rusell Wilson. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It is very much appreciated. Comment how you guys feel about Sean Peyton and Rusell Wilson in this unit in Denver. And if you enjoyed the video, watch this one about CJ Stroud right here and watch this other video right here. It is very much appreciated.